Good evening, and welcome to Illinois Law. This is a program sponsored by the Illinois State Bar Association. Our topic today is the life of a lawyer, and we've assembled a panel of lawyers to help you understand more about what lawyers do. Our panel consists of Sandy Blake. Sandy is a 1992 Loyola Law grad, and she attended night school. From 2007 to the present, Sandy is currently a staff attorney with Lifespan. She works with victims of domestic violence, and she concentrates her practice in divorce, child support, order of protections, and paternities. From 1993 to 2007, Sandy was an assistant state's attorney with Cook County in the criminal law division. Daniel Saeedi works with the firm of Shefsky and Froehlich. He's an associate with the mid-sized firm, and he practices primarily in commercial and constitutional litigation. He is a 2008 graduate of the John Marshall Law School and currently the secretary of the ISBA's Committee on Racial and Ethnic Minorities in the Law. MacKenzie Hyde is an associate at Clark Hill, PLC, and she concentrates her practice in probate, guardianship, and estate litigation. She is a 2009 graduate of the Loyola University of Chicago, and she participated in the Elder Law Clinic. Prior to law school, MacKenzie was a member of Teach for America and taught elementary school in North Lawndale. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi there. Let's talk about the life of a lawyer. You've got your degree, you've got your piece of sheepskin, as it is called, and now you're ready to practice law. What are some of the realities of being a lawyer and, most importantly, of finding a job? Can you speak a little bit to that, Daniel? Perhaps what the summer associates, how do you go about finding a job once you've gotten your degree?
Well, finding a job is never easy, and nowadays in our economy it's even harder. But having a law degree certainly helps find a job. I think now in this economy what's important is to distinguish yourself from other applicants. And the way you can do that is through your law school process, doing externships, working with judges, doing moot court or law review extracurricular work, and also going out and getting experience. And I think that distinguishes you from other applicants when you look for a job. And I think that's what employers are looking for.
Tell me a little bit about the summer internship. We hear about that. What does it involve, and is it still around given the economy that we are in now?
Well, the Summer Associate Program is a program that many mid-sized firms and large firms have. And by mid-size, I mean firms with 25 to 100 associates or attorneys. And the Summer Associate Program is where the attorneys at the firm will really get to know you over the summer, which will be between your second and your third year of law school. And you will work the summer at the law firm, and the attorneys will get to know you. You will work on certain projects, and you will get to know the firm as well and see if that is a good fit for you. And the Summer Associate Program is also a great way to make some money after that second year of law school, because, as you know, a student's life is never a rich one, but it's a good experience to work at the firm that you eventually desire to become a partner and establish your career at.
What are some of the skill sets needed to practice law? Or better yet, what is some of the training that you received, Sandy?
I had a really interesting experience in law school. I was out for 7 years before I went back to law school. I was a Spanish and journalism major in college, and I worked for 7 years for the Lions Clubs in their public relations division. I was the assistant editor of their international magazine, and I interned on their Spanish magazine when I was in college. So while I was in law school, I continued to work at the Lions Clubs. I went to law school at night, and after my first year, I competed for and won a spot on a moot court team from Loyola. We competed in a Chicago Bar Association competition. My team won I think we won a third or fourth place brief, and some of my other teammates won various other brief competitions and oral argument competitions. Unfortunately, my team didn't win the oral, but you have an opportunity to compete by grades, law review, or you can potentially write onto law review, and I was able to do that as well. So you compete with your skill set as opposed to just grades alone. I also had the opportunity when I was in law school to take a course called an appellate practicum. One of the professors at my law school, I went to Loyola, Alan Schoenberger, works with the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago, and he gets cases assigned to him that are indigent defendants, and then he takes a student under his wing, and for course credit, that particular student would write an appellate brief, we would write the reply brief, we would argue the case in front of the Seventh Circuit, and I was able to do that. Actually, I argued the case while I was studying for the bar. And unfortunately, I lost, and we kind of knew it wasn't it was a stretch of an argument, but it was an argument worth making. And when we lost, I was also able to write a petition for certiorari to the U.S. Supreme Court. So law school provides a ton of opportunities that then will be able to translate into skills that, should you decide you want to be an appellate lawyer or a litigating lawyer, I ended up being a law clerk with the state's attorney's office in Cook County as a 711. And that's under the Illinois Supreme Court Rule 711. Third-year law students are allowed to go to court and actually argue cases in court under the supervision of a practicing lawyer.
Excellent. So how do you find your niche?
Well, I was going to say, it's really important that you understand what your personality is like and what type of, not just what type of law you want to practice, but for instance, are you a litigator? Do you want to be in court every day? Do you want to be, on your feet, or would you rather be transactional and be more behind the scenes, talking to clients on the telephone, having conferences with clients, but not necessarily, going to court every day? So I think that that's one aspect where, as a law student, and then when you transition into practice, you really need to understand what your strengths are. There's a lot of people that, cannot do transactional work, and they want to be, fighting the fight, writing their appellate briefs, or, writing the motions, and so, they're destined to be litigators. But it's important that you identify that as soon as possible so that you can kind of set your career on the right trajectory as early on as possible.
And there's several areas of law, as evidenced by our panelists. Give us a little bit of a snapshot of a particular day in your life, in your practice area, if you could, starting with Sandy.
Well, actually, I think with like what MacKenzie said too, it's really good if you understand your own personal strengths and weaknesses. I enjoy having some office time, but I would much rather be in court, and I'm a people person. One of my very first positions was with the state's attorney's office, Cook County State's Attorney's Office, in their child support division. And when you start doing that, you go in front of a judge, and you've got, you could have 100 cases that are going to get done from the space of 9 o'clock in the morning till noon. And you realize, it's just kind of amazing when you realize what the space of a very little bit of time and the impact that what happens in court in this space of 5 minutes could have on someone's life. For example, when I did the child support, you're with a woman, the parent of the child, who's usually seeking to have the paternity of the child established. Generally, they're not married to the father, and the child, and you're trying to establish who the child is and get some support for that child. And it's just kind of amazing how much, within the space of less than 5 minutes, you can establish who the child's father is and get some money to support the child that the mother isn't scrambling or really, just frantic trying to find. And just realize that's going to be a decision for the next 15, 18 years of the child's life.
It's an intangible that's quite rewarding.
It is.
To you as a practitioner.
They're very hectic days. I was a government attorney for 14 years. They're very hectic days. I would generally be in the office before 8 o'clock, and I often worked 12-hour days and took work home with me. And then just as I was about to drop off at night, I'd think, oh my gosh, did I take care of this motion? And for a while, I had to keep a pad of paper next to my bed just so that I could sleep at night. But yes. There are some really the pay isn't great, but some of the rewards are really beneficial. So with the government work, people skills, you have to know how to
Excellent.
talk to people.
How about you, Daniel? A day in the life of Daniel, and what type of practice?
Well, my firm is a mid-sized firm. It has about 75 attorneys, and we have a plethora of different practice groups. I'm in the litigation practice group, and it's an interesting question because I asked that same question of my partner this morning. What exactly do we do? And he looked at me in the eye and he said, we solve problems and we clean up people's messes. And I thought that was right on point. With litigation, what happens is clients will come to you with a particular problem, whether it be an injury in terms of personal injury work, or a contract dispute in terms of contract work, or a plethora of other different problems that can arise during the course of everyday life. And we will try that case. If you're on the plaintiff's side, you will be prosecuting for the plaintiff's rights. If you're on the defense side, you will be protecting your client from liability dollars that he will have to pay the plaintiff. So the course of my work really is in that context. And my day shifts every day, and I think that's one of the things that drew me to litigation. Every single day is a different day. Some days I will be writing motions, writing briefs. Others days I will be in front of a judge, whether arguing a motion or actually in trial. And then other days I will be meeting with my clients, gathering information, talking about finance and how they can proceed in this case and what they can afford in terms of representation, and ultimately giving the best representation throughout this process to our clients. So I think litigation is a very client-driven practice, and it's not for everyone, but I love it.
Excellent. How about you, MacKenzie?
I'm also in the litigation practice group at Clark Hill. My specialty, or the area that I practice in primarily, is probate litigation, so guardianship and estate and trust litigation. And like Daniel said, the best part about it is that it's unpredictable. Every day you think you're going to come in and do one thing, and then before you know it, the phone call is rung and the client's having a crisis and you have to attend to that, and before you know it, everything that you were going to do on day one now has to be pushed to day two. That lifestyle is not for everyone, though, and that's, again, why it's important that you kind of gauge during law school what type of lifestyle you want to have after law school. Do you want to be working the 12-hour days? Do you want to have the billable requirement of 1,900 to 2,000 hours a year? Or do you want to work in a smaller firm that might not have the billable requirement, or a nonprofit where you're going to have more consistent hours? So I think that in terms of, you don't want to get into something that you're not ready for or that you didn't expect, because you're going to be unhappy, and you don't want to be in a profession or in a job that you're not happy with. So the more that you can learn from other lawyers what their, what the expectations are for where they're working and what opportunities you might have. Also, a lot's going to depend on your family life and what else you have going on aside from the job. If you've got kids or a sick parent that you have to take care of, then it's going to impact the type of job that you should be looking for.